The word is finally. Finally, this market is able to put two positive days together in a row. Solana up 2 to 3% every day. Feels like gradually, then suddenly. So what's next? Have you noticed that the market is kind of rolling in its rally, meaning things pop off one at a time? You know, Patreon Platinum and YouTube member area near coin that we liked in there is moving. We're coming up with a new updated HODL portfolio. MicroStrategy, let's talk about it. I thought MicroStrategy was supposed to fall apart because it wasn't included in the S&P 500. Well, it doesn't look like it did, to be honest. And it also looks like there were a lot of other crypto stocks like Galaxy Digital, the big crypto hedge fund, that also bottomed. There are all these announcements about like such and such company buys crypto, and then the stock of the company moons. Like there was a Solana Treasury company yesterday, buys Solana, and then the company that buys the crypto acts more like a crypto than the crypto that it buys. It's amazing. And of course, WorldCoin also surges on a 250 million treasury deal. Interesting that somebody's making a bet that that is also a form of money. One thing that you need to be aware of is that I know a very smart person who said in one of his pieces that when you looked at the future of money or what may be considered money, he doesn't do Bitcoin and XRP. He did Bitcoin and WorldCoin and puts XRP in a different category. So Web 2 and assorted characters are more than capable of creating their own form of money, underscoring the need for you to participate in the ecosystem. Now let's talk about ecosystem participation, right? So how frustrating has it been, truthfully? Like how frustrating is it to watch this thing? You know, you watched it yesterday and it was up like 1 or 2% and you didn't believe it, did you? It was hard to believe. It may still be hard to believe, right? Because you're looking at it going, well, it's up today, but is it going to last? Okay, well, today is the second up day for another GAN model pick, Arweave, right? You got customers that were able to buy dips in these things. You know, Render is up for the second day in a row. Now, some bag holders are selling those rallies, but even if rallies are getting sold kind of intraday, like on what happened Friday in Bitcoin, it's actually coming back. In other words, yeah, okay, people are selling. Yeah, okay, it's not a God candle. But the market is actually holding. It's holding. And a lot of these like ETH DeFi coins, like, you know, stuff that's not top of mind, like the graph. Okay. DeFi, real world assets, Perky, SPX 6900 being added to Coinbase. So Coinbase, I guess, has got to start somewhere. So why not start with a giant meme coin? At least normies will have some, I don't know, they'll have some ease understanding that. You know, at least they're going to add meme coins and things like that at a low rather than at a high. That's great. You have to wonder what it takes to get this market excited again. You know, in other words, I'm looking at the Dogecoin treasury move yesterday. CleanCore goes up 38% after buying $68 million worth of Dogecoin. What is wrong with this picture? I think the equity market is telling you that there are speculative desires in crypto yet to be fulfilled, right? If crypto is that bullish, then crypto should be moving higher. Now let's talk about gold. I think everyone's been talking about gold like the last 3 days. You know, gold feels like it's on like the final leg of this tactical run. And it's dragging everything else up with it, whether it wants to go or not. Like XRP is now back above $3, and I don't think I've ever seen a move in XRP above $3 get so little attention. There's clearly a triangle on the XRP chart. It's very clear that it's consolidating almost like Ethereum would back in the old days, or even like a stock. It's almost trading like you might expect Ripple's stock to trade, even though they are obviously completely different. Different forms of money in a world where there is no sound money is something that needs to get said every single day. Because I get it, you get it, the creators of WorldCoin get it, the people who bought WorldCoin as a treasury asset get it, and eventually companies like MicroStrategy and related companies aren't going to be seen as highly speculative fools. They're going to be seen as visionaries who decided to hedge themselves against the declining value of fiat. Yeah, and I know that's something we go through every day, along with, like, which relevant altcoins are actually moving. And what does that tell you about the market? What does it tell you? It tells you that altcoins, most of them are up 5 or 6% now. And they were up 5 or 6% yesterday. You have like the quietest rally ever, because it's percolating from underneath. Like, Ondo's up 4%. So today is the third green candle in a row. And Ondo is rallying, off of a very big support point. I love how, 6 months ago, year and a half ago, the market's like pricing in all this incredible stuff. And then as the need for the incredible stuff arrives, as in problems with fiat or legacy, or just a general desire to have something different. I mean, Elon is making a new Microsoft using AI. Okay. So everyone is disrupting everyone. Feels like they're doing it over there for sport. Why? Do I need a replacement for Microsoft software? Do I need that? Or do I need a decentralized future outside the hands of these other characters? That's something that doesn't get talked about enough, because a lot of people are talking P&L most of the time. Now let's talk P&L. Let's talk things like Arrow and Bitcoin, I think, are on the same technical analysis track. In other words, the market went down. The two coins went down more than you would have expected. Now what needs to happen is they need to break, Arrow needs to break like 113 and Bitcoin needs to break 115 in order to really get this thing loose. Now, I do like this like grinding bid, because in a way it scares people. There's, like I said, a couple of coins that we really like, more than a couple. Most of them are up 5%. Most big altcoins are up 5%. Memes are up, right? You have Bonk moving again, and WIF is following. Now, why bring up Bonk? Why bring up WIF? Why bring up SPX 6900? And while we're at it, why not talk Pepe? Pepe, SPX 6900, leveraged ETH, right? You could maybe even throw MOG in there. I would, right? Any of these big catchy meme coins that are attached to major chains like Solana or ETH, they're worthy of your attention. WIF is going straight up. Retail is coming back, right? The trenches are going to wake up again, because if there's speculative juices in equities, that eventually has to move over to crypto. I mean, it can go on and on and on, and crypto can ignore it until it can't. Or, people can ignore it until the market pays them to pay attention, is a better way of saying it, right? Are you getting paid to pay attention? Yeah. There's two more, there's SPX on ETH and there's Flock on Base are getting added to Coinbase, right? So that could get the whole meme sector rolling. And actually, it's kind of a smart move on Coinbase's part. It's like, hey, how do we get it going here? Right? SPX 6900, guys, that is a very pumped up community, right? And they may have like, algorithmic hedge fund style support underneath it, like Fartcoin, where, that stuff can kind of like rally with a mind of its own. So yeah, let's get it going, man. Let's do it. Polkadot is up another 3% today. Polkadot is melting through 4. XRP is melting through 3. And where's the fanfare? Like all the YouTube live streams from yesterday were about this ledger-based, problem with sending crypto. I'm like, how interesting, right? Nobody talked about the market. Now, people will probably be talking about the market today. And can you imagine how many people will be talking about the market tomorrow if it's also up, right? This is like people were focused on FUD, and then a lot of people were frustrated. I mean, a guy who watches the show sent me a clip from his show talking about how, like, everyone's talking about the fourth quarter. Everyone's watching everyone else's show. It's worth repeating. People are frustrated. And I continue to repeat that there is nothing more constructive than a bullish, frustrated user base. And if you go across crypto, you can see the frustration. You can see the frustration in coins like ICP. You can see the frustration in coins like, Secret Network, where there has been absolutely no price action for some time. And, we have a top DeFi play that's, again, up another 2%. Things are rallying. And that coin, which, retraced half of its rally intraday, but it did not go down, right? Sellers exiting and buyers clearly taking it from them. With, various layer ones, like I said, it gets more perky. Like when you look at, if you just look at Bitcoin and Ethereum, that's not a lot happening. Now, why is that? Well, because they are most likely over-owned at this point. In other words, everyone owns Bitcoin. ETH Treasury companies proliferated. All the shorts got covered. I'm not saying Ethereum is not going higher, but when you have kind of maybe a surprise rally, or like we're maybe building up to something later on in the month, the stuff that starts going up is the stuff that people know. They know it's good, but they don't own it. Like, I had a draft of a near deep dive for Patreon Platinum. And the thing that's funny is that the white paper for near is so complicated that even distilling it down, was hard for the model to do. Near and Polkadot both do things that solve problems that Ethereum maybe has a little trouble with. That's the way I would say it. It makes blockchain life a little easier. Yeah. And these things are rallying, to the point where, well, maybe I don't have to pay attention. Well, actually, I've been telling you, maybe you do. Because, gold is something that, like I have gold at its premium zone on Luxalgo, right? So you have to ask yourself, is this going to continue? So gold is at resistance. Gold is at its premium zone, which in itself is resistance. Bitcoin is at a Luxalgo point, but Bitcoin hasn't even recovered. Bitcoin hasn't recovered from the late mid-August debacle. So how does that get reconciled? Right? I mean, I don't see gold going lower. What case is there for that? The Fed has a very unique problem, as we've discussed, and crypto is just like, what? You guys and your problems, you can have fun. Because, as I scroll here, I mean, I just saw another layer one that is more than likely going to be used by AI. Again, all up 5% on the open. Why was everyone selling XRP again? XRP had some good headlines out of Africa, and, there's a lot of like positive fundamental news flow. And I continue to believe that all of this Treasury and, like the Bitcoin, Solana, and Ethereum Treasury stories make Ripple as a company more valuable. It's so funny that, Ripple's terrible or XRP is terrible because Ripple owns a ton of XRP, or the insiders or the executives or whoever. It's so funny, right? Like Michael Saylor is a hero for going out and draining crypto out of the system. Okay. But he's a huge holder, his business is, and so is he. So is he, right? He's a big holder. We have the same thing with Ripple. Ripple is an XRP treasury company. If you said that to people are like, oh my God, how do I buy Ripple? Can I buy that? Are they going to IPO? Would you say, well, yeah, Ripple is a cryptocurrency company focusing on, cross-border payment solutions. Everyone goes, but if you say Ripple is an XRP treasury company and it's the biggest one out there, and I don't think anyone could ever be bigger. Oh my God. It's kind of funny. Right? And they left XRP below $3 like they just didn't care. I mean, the premium zone in XRP is at 350. You got a lot of room in this thing. I mean, there are these like little minor tactical resistance points, but who cares? Who cares? I mean, there's one thing I'm tired of talking about. It's, there's resistance. There's a reason on the chart why it can't happen. Dude, in XRP on Lux Algo, I'm sitting here looking at it. I mean, there is just this big red on red blotch in this like oscillator matrix where it has like the money flow section. People just packed it in on this. I mean, when you have, it's one thing for a market to go sideways, right? But when you go sideways the way XRP has, and then on that final thrust lower, you have all these people just giving up, like it's never going back up again. Like the XRP technical analysis narrative is probably one of the most compelling things in all of crypto, because they have an XRP treasury company in Ripple. You have a huge retail following. You have a lot of people who would be new into the market. In other words, anybody who comes into Coinbase to buy SPX 6900 or Bonk, what's the next thing they're going to look at? Well, they're probably going to go on YouTube and they're going to get directed towards XRP or Cardano, which again, these visually appealing, dollar price optics. Right? They don't look at market cap. They look at, oh, wow, look, if I put half a paycheck into XRP, I can get fill in the blank. I can get so many coins. Makes them feel richer. Why is that not being talked about? Well, I don't know, because everyone talks about it. No, they don't. No, they don't. There's a lot of talk about XRP. There isn't talk about the common sense component of XRP and Ripple and how they fit together. And why is the move back above $3, I don't know, not being celebrated at all? Not at all. Coinbase's stock, there was a lot of euphoria, but it's at equilibrium. It's in a state of balance. Why is Coinbase in a state of balance not a buy? And even if Coinbase is not a buy for whatever reason, how is the marquee leadership stock in the space in kind of a chill, consolidated, the froth has been worked off. We're all set, ready to go here, right? Steven wants a Chainlink treasury. Dude, I think everybody's going to have a Chainlink treasury, because I don't know, in a Solana, Ethereum, Near, XRP, Bitcoin interconnected world, everybody's going to have Chainlink on their books. Kevin Spence is like, why is he telling us this? Great question. I'm telling you this so that you don't get off the bullish bandwagon because you're bored or because whatever you own is down. It's very simple. I'm also saying it because this could be a stealth rally happening right before your eyes. In other words, is anybody on YouTube going, oh yeah, 120 next in Bitcoin, 5K next in ETH, $4 XRP, here we go. Are you seeing any of that today? You're not seeing any of that. Yesterday was all about ledger and whether you should do a transaction or not. You're not hearing any of that. So one of the things to specialize in is saying the things that no one else is saying before they all say it, right? Research, in other words, right? In research, you get paid for imagination. So I'm telling you this because I want to share my imagination with you, and I want to encourage you to use your imagination, right? So if you use your imagination and your tools and you don't listen to people who tell you that you can't do this, you actually can do this, right? Because, guys who trade gold stocks, and who trades gold stocks? Did you ever think about that? Like, who trades all this stuff in legacy? I don't know. Old people. Warren Buffett doesn't buy gold. He buys gold stocks. You should see the chart of gold stocks. I mean, small cap gold stocks, they look like altcoins, straight up. But you don't think that price action is eventually going to make its way into crypto? Oh, for sure it is. For sure it is. And ironically, like I said, interest rates are dropping. Another reason why I'm telling you this. Maybe they've played that out, but yeah, interest rates are dropping, and this is great for speculative assets, especially as gold starts topping, and everything else in technology starts taking off. I mean, again, going back to Elon, if Elon uses AI to make a new Microsoft, what other new things can we make? What else needs a twin? Like, I don't know if I need another form of, Microsoft Word, but is there anything else that we could replace out there? I mean, Elon's doing it. The market's doing it. It's not like, oh, gee, let's wake up and make something up. Like one guy's like, hey, you're a huckster. I'm like, not really, man. I'm just reading the tape. I am just reading the tape. Frederick Carpenter said, it's not about today, it's about the future. Okay, JB is happy that my glasses are on straight today. Yeah, I was a little hesitant. I had like an attachment to those other glasses, but yeah, we got some new glasses, and I definitely need some sort of shade or not. You can tell me in the comments. It looks like the comments are really pumped up today, so that's good, right? T-Bone is here, encouraging you to read between the lines, right? Kevin is really on my case. Free is exactly what it's worth. Well, sir, you should see, if you like this, you're going to definitely love the VIP member live stream with me and ace analyst Toby Ward. Trust me, our premium content is spelled with a capital P. And we have got a lot of people, right? All the Patreon people got stuff 2 days ago. YouTube member area was locked and loaded with 5 videos in 7 days at the bottom. Okay. Like, this is about getting people ready. Honestly, it is. Yeah. And you have to get yourself ready, and it's a lot easier than you think it is. I mean, Nasdaq just got the nod from the SEC to tokenize stocks. So great. We'll have stocks on chain. Okay. The government will be able to issue all kinds of debt to stablecoin companies. Okay. And when all that money comes on chain, where's it eventually going to wind up? Like, how hard is it for a normie with a Schwab account to get the money in the Schwab account into Bitcoin? Well, they can use the Bitcoin ETF. What about the rest of crypto? As they tokenize stocks, for every dollar that comes into tokenized stocks, 50 to 75% will eventually wind up in Bitcoin. And most likely, The other 25 cents will wind up in altcoins. Because believe it or not, there's one thing in stocks that they understand that we don't, that Toby understands. It's called sector allocation, right? Tech stocks, right? Tech stocks, social media, software, cross-chain, science. I mean, we're publishing for our customers coming up very soon. Toby calls them the buckets. And I've even seen the news media start calling the buckets. They must watch the show. The great Santini is here along with our YouTube members who get super cool emojis for being members with us. We appreciate every single one of you. JB is here. Welcome. Bull Runner in the house. Welcome to the show. Knox Bill, Peter Vanham, right? It's actually Judgment Day. I'll be back. We'll be here waiting for you, sir. Warmon, Thomas Chai, a new member. Tyler Hall from the Antivirus Universe. Our friends, Rave Song Records, Donato, The Fuzz Crypto. Buy now or wait until the Fed meeting. All right, so let's talk about that. Everybody in crypto, is active on Twitter, and, you can get a lot of attention on a regular basis on crypto Twitter by talking about like larger macro issues. And of course, these things are important. They do drive, some of the more wild spikes, but this idea that we have to wait for the Fed to tell us what to do or give us the go ahead is not true. I think all the Fed has to do is, if they do 25 basis points, the market will probably be disappointed. You'll probably have algorithms selling, and that will probably be an opportunity. Because as soon as they cut rates, they admit that there's a problem, right? So, algorithms will get set up as you approach the meeting. And trading meetings doesn't make sense. Well, it always makes sense around meetings and numbers and summits. Like, they have a fear trade, everyone squares up their book, and then crypto goes right back to business, kind of at the max fear point. And whatever that is. Whatever that is. Now, if there's a Fed thing that I have not said, it's that one of the reasons why the Fed doesn't cut aggressively is they don't want to admit there's a problem, but that's a nuanced thing that people may not get. Earlier, and I still think this is true, earlier I said they may be holding big rate cuts in case of any type of a problem. Like, for example, when you wake up one day and you find out that the job statistics overestimated the labor market by 1 million jobs. That might qualify. Or any other problem that you might have. Like, they're saving it. And again, you have to ask yourself, why are they saving it? Or you could also say that they have just made terrible mistakes, and the market and gold and even stocks, right? Like, why are stocks moving higher? Well, I don't know. $1 in stocks is better than $1 in the bank. That's been true. That's been true for 15 years, and it's still true today. Which is why when stock investors and legacy investors and normies come into Coinbase, which, again, they're opening up SPX 6900. So, they're trying to get retail started. Altcoin market caps being up 1% is not a lot, because they could be up. I'm looking at a chart here, like total altcoin market cap, meaning like outside Bitcoin and Ethereum, has 15% upside. 15%. That's the big coins, right? So everyone is ignoring this. And then when it's up 15%, they want to know what to get long. When the fact of the matter is, the whole market as of right now, it is like rock bottom. You could pull something up that's gone up 5% 2 days in a row, and it doesn't even look like it's moved. It doesn't look like a move. It's a move. It's the invisible rally. That's what I should have called it. This is the invisible rally. No one's looking at it. No one's looking at it. Frederick says, how long do you think legacy banks can hold out, and where will they turn to? Okay, well, legacy banks are distracting everyone with the crypto IPO business. Okay, the great Santini with a $10 super chat, sir. I appreciate that very much. It's always nice to see that, you know, not only do people super chat, but a lot of times the guys who do this super chatting do so regularly, and we appreciate that. Driftless Crypto and Philip and all these guys. Mark Liano is here. Good morning. Okay, let's close with this. One of the things that we say in the YouTube member area, we say it a little differently, but it can pay to make a list of altcoins or go to CoinMarketCap and look at a whole list of altcoins. And it's not investment advice, but pick one, pick two. You want to get our research? We would love you to. You can't afford research? If you have a web browser, find something. Find something, because what you could be witnessing now is the start of like a rolling 1 month bottom that turns into a gangbuster rally. Everyone's talking about Q4. Everyone's talking about, oh God, the rally's coming, and the rally is kind of here, and everyone's like, huh. No one's paying attention. Everybody thinks it's going to the moon, and it starts moving, and everyone's like, huh. Is there an entry point for virtuals and syrup? Okay, well, I know syrup was a top pick that we had a year ago, believe it or not. Toby was into Maple and Aave as two core holdings in the HODL portfolio, which we will be updating in the YouTube member area imminently. As far as entry points go for virtuals or any of these companies, dude, how far away have they really gone from resistance? I mean, virtuals was at $4.80. When virtuals was at $4.80, if I told you that, they were going to leave it by the side of the road and you were going to be able to get it at $1.25, you would have been like, well, that's a great entry point, right? I mean, if it goes to 50 cents and it goes to $1.20, people, start looking for an entry. Okay, I understand that. Well, your entry, I'm going to give it to you this way in terms of time, right? In other words, what's going to go on between now and the end of the month, right? Normally September can be volatile. There's like eclipses. Haven't really seen the volatility that we thought we were going to get. Your entry, to answer your question, is on any red day that's a small red day, and your other entry is any big red day. Because if this is what it feels like, which is this underappreciated market that just kind of takes off, that's really like grinding people into sand, your entry is very seriously on a red day. I mean, syrup is down today. You get 2 down days, like syrup, just looking at the chart. When you get a down day, you maybe get 2 or 3 of them in a row. Maybe. Right? That's the way it's been since it's been consolidating. So nothing outperforms forever. So when the things that are outperforming start correcting, they do so for like 3 days, and then it turns. Okay, that is the market update for today. We will see you later.